All right, YouTube, I'm doing this video live before Wuyang leaves the hero trial. He will be live on season 18 on August 26th on Tuesday. I'm doing it live and my Twitch chat is getting a little unreal with the lizard meme right now and that face. Okay, anyways, let's talk about Wuyang, okay? I'm gonna talk about what I think of Wuyang as a character aesthetics-wise, how I feel about him actually having representation in the game. You know, he's a Chinese male guy, jacked, good looking, good hair. I have one of those three things I listed. And we're gonna talk about his in-game character balance wise. Do I think he needs buffs, nerfs? Do I think his healing is bad? Do I think he needs changes? What team comps he fits in? Dive, poke, brawl. Talk about the support duo pairings, which perks to take, which perks I like, and I'll give you some quick tips and some quick combos and some quick map jumps to end off the video. It's gonna be a one take, so I'll do as best as I can to keep my thoughts coherent and succinct. So first of all, what do I think of Wuyang as a character? Well, first of all, this guy is not natty. This guy went to water college, trying to study to be a medic, and this guy's arms are way too big. I think, like, aesthetics-wise, they could have done with like a little bit of a slender build. Like, his in-game model is fine, but when you watch the hero trailer, he's got this like jarring smile, like someone's holding a gun to his face sometimes, and it feels a little strange. Like at the beginning here, like it's like that, but it feels really forced. That one just kind of irks me a little bit. I'm sorry, it throws me off. Okay, but honestly, other than that, like I think he's cool, and I think the trailer and stuff has a lot of nods to like Chinese culture and similar to how I grew up with, like, you know, parents kind of not understanding you and like forcing you to kind of study, but like also disappointing them, trying not to disappoint them. All that kind of stuff kind of resonated with me a little bit. I think there was one part of the story where like the mom cut him like oranges. It's such a Asian thing, getting like cut up fruits. It's their way of like showing love, so I thought that was pretty cool. Other than that, he seems like a really dope hero. I think one of the skin ideas I saw in chat, I just want to nod and call that out really quick, was that his mythic should actually be him controlling all the elements. So I know he's like a water-based hero, right? But what if the mythic modifiers can make him fire, can make him earth, can make him the other one, and maybe the final level up could be him having all four elements. So like when he ground waves, it's the earth element instead of like a water wave, and then he can throw his water orb still. If he like heals a teammate, it should be like a fiery beam, something like that, right? That was actually that's kind of cooking, right? New skin idea, no clothes. All right, relax. Thirsty people, out. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about his balance, buffs, nerfs. I'm just gonna say right now, a lot of people come in here and go like, yo, KarQ, I think his healing sucks. Do you think he's gonna get buffed? Right now, I'm just gonna say, I think he's actually pretty solid. I genuinely think they should not change anything about his kit on release. I couldn't say that for the other heroes on their hero trial, but this hero, I think won't click for players until you play 5 games. I was under the same impression for the first 3 to 5 games. I was like, his healing sucks. I don't really like it. I feel like it's kind of bad. But then when you play him, you notice his damage output's kind of insane. And when you actually cycle his abilities correctly with the right perks, he does end up having some pretty big burst healing. One of the bigger ones is when you use your Guardian Wave, you obviously amp the healing and it actually restores your beam a little bit. So look at this bot. If I do this, I press my thing, I restore my resource, especially if I get the wave that comes back. You end up healing like 400-500 in a big chunk. And right now you get passive healing the whole time as well, right? So it's like, he heals more than Zenyatta for sure, because Zen only has his orb. So his output is obviously not gonna be comparable to like a Moira or to like a Baptiste or like a quote unquote main healer. He definitely feels more like a flex healer, and you kind of slot him in comps that where Zen could kind of shine on. So I like him most with dive and a little bit of poke. So for example, if you play like Bap Zen with like poke and like Sigma and stuff, you could definitely just sit in the back and just, you know, just toss these all day, because these do like a disgusting amount of damage, and then you can play for an engagement with your ultimate. For dive, and you know, there's some like ball dive comps with like Zen Brig or like Zen Mercy back in the day, and you kind of do the same thing where like you can support your team in the distance with like chucking some long orbs onto a person that's about to get jumped on, and you can just give this to like a tracer. This is a 5-second expiry time for like a passive, which is pretty solid as well. So I like that personally. Brawl, you could probably still work in Brawl, but maybe not my favorite so far. But again, this is like the 3-day playtest, and I only played viewer games, so I didn't try out true compositions. It was basically quick play the whole time. So like maybe I'm wrong on this, but that's just my initial impression on what comp he fits in. And like I said, I don't think they need to buff his healing. I think his damage is very, very solid. Literally the only thing in his kit that I don't like is how long it takes for his melee, because as it stands, it feels like it's faster to just shoot 1, 2, 3, 4 versus like melee just like slows me down more so than anything. So like, I don't know if they could maybe do something with the melee animation to speed it up, but that's just, I guess how I feel about his buffs, nerfs, changes. Don't change them. I think the biggest case study is like with Freya. She was underperforming. People thought she was weak, and then they buffed her, and then people learned how to play Freya over time. Then she became a little too strong, and then they nerfed her again to basically her state where she was during the hero trial, but she's still perceived as a very strong hero. So I think right now is just a big learning curve. Wuyang feels weak to a lot of people because he's kind of hard to play. Big skill check right now with the aim. Big skill check on people not understanding how to heal with him properly, how to do the correct burst healing with him. Because like, yeah, if you just sit here and you're not pressuring offensively, you're gonna be on your back foot the whole time. Like his whole shtick is like being very strong with his aggressive orbs and not giving the enemy team room to shoot back at your team. If you're constantly being shot at, then yeah, he's gonna feel a little lackluster because you can only beam for so long with like the minimal resource. But if you're lacking resource, remember, Guardian Wave gives you 33% back, and obviously if you take the perk that gives the resource back on the torrent ride, the wave riding thing, then you can pocket a lot longer. But I don't actually think that's a strength at all. And that leads me to what support duos I think he works best with. I liked it with Ana. I actually liked it a lot with Baptiste. Like these two can cover like the healing portion for you, so you can focus on DPSing. Bap window with this orb is kind of gross, by the way. You can definitely just like fire it through the window and just do 200 damage on a pop. If you have the triple orb perk, it's 240 damage per pop. Super, super fun to use with Bap. I like it with Ana. Underrated pairing was Brig. I genuinely thought this was better than I thought. I was thinking like, oh, my output will be kind of low, but then it wasn't bad. And then I think back to like Zen Brig comps, that's a thing, right? I did not play it with Illari, but I did play Illari on the first day with the Wuyang, and it felt fine. Because believe it or not, Illari's got some crazy healing output with her beam as well. Illari's in a similar boat where if you actually just sit here and just like hold the beam onto somebody, this is 110 HPS or 120 HP per second. That's one of the highest healing portions in the game. And if my Wuyang does the wave and does the 50% amped healing for a second, I can actually pocket the shit out of a tank, especially with the pylon pumping too. It's actually very, very crazy with the Illari. So this one's a bit underrated. Juno was like okay in the pairing. I think Juno's a little weak right now. I think she got nerfed quite a bit. Her shtick is like speed and hard engages, which kind of fits with Brawl, but which is why I didn't really like it with Wuyang, because I don't think he fits too well with like going in really aggressively. Because if he goes straight into Brawl and tries to like death ball, it doesn't really feel like it's his style. Kiriko I liked a lot because Kiriko can kind of like keep herself alive and you don't have to like turn around and help them too often, and Kiriko can pump heals, got Suzu to back you up to save you as well. I like this. Lifeweaver, it was okay. I think Lifeweaver is really solid right now. He's got buffed a lot. He's like genuinely pretty meta at this point. I liked it quite a bit with Lifeweaver. Maybe it's because like we didn't play proper comps in our like viewer games or whatever, but I think this one might be an underrated duo for sure. So I think Lifeweaver is actually one of the better ones as well. So I think good, meh, good. Lucio was one of my least favorites. So early on, I'm going to say bad. Not my favorite to play with because Lucio's doing his own thing. And if I get jumped, it was kind of cooked for me. Maybe if you're like already winning and stomping people, it can sometimes for some people feel pretty good. But I wasn't really feeling the Lucio plus the Wuyang. And also you mentioned too much movement. You actually break the movement cap in the game because I think the movement speed limitation 70 or 75% in the game. I can't remember. So with Lucio, Amp, and while you riding the wave, you already hit the cap already. Same with Juno Speed Ring. You're already maxed out, which is why like it's a little bit of diminishing returns in that specific scenario. With Mercy, it was okay. I didn't mind this as well. This is pretty acceptable. Moira, it was pretty acceptable as well. So like, yeah. And then the final one is Zen. I actually did not play it with Zen at all during this entire playtest, so I don't have much data on it. But I guess on paper, you play double poke with it. It's okay if you play really self-sustaining comps. I would not do like Wuyang Zen with like a Sigma poke. This would be like Wuyang Zen dive with ball or something like that. That might be like a pretty viable comp because you can play Brig Zen and then Brig protects the Zen. Wuyang's not great at protecting the Zen, so that it might fall apart to enemies jumping the Zen, but like I'd have to test this one a bit more. If you guys have tried it out, let me know. But for now, my least favorite, again, a TLDR, was Juno, Zen, Lucio. And yeah, what's after support duo pairs and what comps he plays in. Oh, which perks to take and which ones I like, and then some quick tips. Both of the minor perks are pretty solid. I found myself using Balance. The restorative stream passive healing is increased by 40% for 2 seconds when you deal damage. It basically is up permanently because like I'm a very aggressive Wuyang, so I'm always firing orbs. And like that means whoever I have my beam on is not only healing 25 or 28 per second, it's almost healing 40 HP per second with it because I'm always shooting. So I find myself liking that a lot more. I know Overflow has the extra healing resource and the extra ammo. I felt like the ammo wasn't that necessary because I was not finding myself reloading. He's got 20 base ammo, and if you do the right tech, which I'll talk about later, where you do the charged orb and you let go early, instead of consuming 2 ammo, you consume 1 ammo. So I never felt that ammo was a problem for him, and I would always find like time to actually like hide and reload for a second if I had to. I didn't need that portion. So the only value of Overflow was the healing resource. But I also found that I never truly emptied my entire resource the whole time. I would do enough to keep them alive, and if I needed to, I would Guardian Wave them, which regen 33%, and by this point, they should be back up. So I actually don't like Overflow as much as Balance. So I prefer Balance. Now for the major perk, I think both of these are totally fine depending on the comp you play. I think Ebb and Flow is better for majority of players learning Wuyang, and Falling Rain is for people who are pretty comfortable with primary fire. Ebb and Flow is good for most players and is really good against dive because the fact that the wave rewinds gives you 1v1 fighting potential, and it heals you 80 and then 80 back, and it deals, you know, 80 damage up close and 40 damage on the return. So if you're getting jumped, Winstons, Tracers, Genjis, whatever, this is your 1v1 tool. This is like a quick combo, right? A Tracer's jumping you, just go like they're dead. Right here, she died fast because the wave hit the wall and came back really fast, right? It's genuinely really big burst at close range, and the CC is useful to kind of like, you know, with it rolling, it can kind of stop the Winston from jumping back out if you catch him, stuff like that. So I find Ebb and Flow really good for most players, and it's probably going to cover, it's easy default by far. However, if you do end up taking Balance as well, which I do prefer, like I recommended as your minor, the other triple orb one is actually pretty solid too. It turns your base 100 damage orb thingy to 120. It's 3 separate orbs, and like because it's 3 orbs, as long as one of the 3 tag a person, then the person who has the heal restorative stream will like always be getting like boosted healing. Like even if I whiff like on a real moving target and only one of the orbs hits, it'll be good. And changing your damage from 100 to 120 is like a 20% DPS increase for the most part. So this is good for the very aggressive Wuyangs, and in comps or in like a support duo that specifically has a lot of healing. You play it with Moira, you play it with Bap, you play it with Kiriko. Someone that can cover and offset your raw healing, you can definitely go for a more DPS oriented idea. If not, you could definitely take Ebb and Flow. You can also consider Ebb and Flow against, consider not taking Ebb and Flow against some brawl comps that have shield. So for example, every time I play against Rhine, I actually did not enjoy taking Ebb and Flow because he would always block it right away, and my wave would not travel very far because he just holds the shield down. Same with Sigma. I just found it really hard to, you know, actually get good Ebb and Flow value. So I would actually recommend the triple orb against that to continue pressuring and like shooting your orb over the 6 shield, shooting your orb over the Rhine, and pressuring people in the back with the triple orbs. But yeah, that's my takes on the perks. Favorite by far, take Balance, and then mostly Ebb and Flow, but situationally take Falling Rain. Now, I guess some quick and final tips. Stuff I mentioned in the YouTube short that's already up on the channel, but I'll just go over them really quickly. So I mentioned about the ammo consumption. Right now, if you shoot and charge your orb, you consume 2 ammo, right? It's 816 ammo right now, look in the bottom right. 15, 14 when it charges up. But if you let go right when it's charged, you can only consume 1 ammo, like right there, 18 to 17. 17 to 16. The only downside is you lose control of the orb, so you can't like weave it any further. So this is specifically good for spamming chokes when you're not really picking or finding anybody in particular. Like they're coming up and like, you know, they're right around the corner. You might as well just like fire some like quick charge orbs. It allows you to like refire and wind up your next orb while that one is charging because you've already let go of it. So there's some use cases for that. The next one is the pop send, like you just mentioned in the chat, is one of his settings over here. If you go to the hero and HUD and you do the auto fire after controlling orb, I have it off right now. By default, I think it's on. So like after you hit a target and you hold your mouse button or your whatever on controller, it'll fire another one right away. So if you're not really comfortable and you're trying to aim it and it's like, oops, I hit somebody, I wasn't ready, and then the next one already comes out because you're holding the button down for the control, it can be a little awkward. So then I think turning this off could actually help newer players get more comfortable. So like when it makes contact, the next one won't fire until I manually repress, so you don't accidentally start winding up an orb when you don't want to. How would you use his ult? That's a good question. I actually found myself, I tried using it for myself a few times, but I didn't like it as much. Like when I recommend people playing Baptiste, I always say use your window for yourself, but for Wuyang, I actually don't like it for myself unless in extreme situations where I need to save myself from getting dove. But I would almost never use it too often to self-ult and slide in. Maybe if I'm feeling cheeky and there's a certain play I can make with it, sure. It's a bit awkward to go up in their face and blow up with your ultimate because like when you're up in their face, you don't have enough distance to charge your orb. He's made for mid to long range with these charge orbs, but ulting yourself and jumping in forces you to like stay up close and do a bunch of these and melee to finish people off. It'd be okay to like, you know, get up in their face and wave them. Some situations for sure you can definitely use it for yourself. But if you have any tank, it's almost like instant value with it. And that actually reminds me of the other tip on who to use your ult with on combos. It's really good on almost all the tanks, with my least favorites being like Sigma, Zarya, and like maybe Roadhog. Anybody who has movement in this game can make use of the ultimate because it's a knockdown on a timer. So anybody who can close the gap will do wonders with this. So a D.Va flying in and then boom, it pops, knocks them down, she kills them. Doom punching in, sure. Hazard leaping in, sure. Queen about the ult, perfect. Mauga caging them in, charging in, perfect. Orisa spinning in, pulling them in with her ultimate Terra Surge, and then letting the ultimate pop, knocking them down in the ult, and then getting full damage. Ramattra chasing them with his punch form, because again, the ultimate gives you 50% movement speed. Amazing for chasing people down. Reinhardt charging in. Roadhog, again, not my favorite, but if you hook somebody in and he's getting clapped, maybe. Sigma plays pretty safe, so not really necessary. If he's popping his ultimate, it's diminishing returns when you give him the ultimate. He's already super fast in the air while he's lifting people, and then they're stuck in the CC anyways when they're lifted, so the knockdown is not really necessary. So it's like the combo isn't great. Winston, it's great to jump in, same with the Primal. Ball as well on the engage. And then Zarya, it's like, you know, if they're already grabbed, they're kind of held down already. Maybe if you time the grab for the thing to pop right after the grab ends, so you double CC them. But if they're already grabbed, they're probably dead anyways. So that's my, and then obviously you have like the Genji dashing in, Tracer being one of the best combos with Wuyang. Oh, if you're getting chased and you have ebb and flow, like, oh my god, there's a Winston jumping me. Don't ebb and flow this way, right back, because you're probably gonna be kiting, and by the time the wave returns to where you originally started, you're standing here and Winston's here, so that wave is useless. If Winston's jumping me and he lands right here, you wave this way and glide and fight, because the wave returns to this starting area. So I get the benefit of the double healing, and he's chasing me. He might get hit by the knock-up on the way up, and if he continues chasing me, it'll slow him down with the knock-up, and again, it double heals me because I'm going on the exit path, not on the forward path. That's a big one. That's pretty much all I got for Wuyang. If I missed anything and you guys have your own thoughts on Wuyang, let me know. Let me quickly show you one of my favorite map jumps. Biggest thing with his surf riding ability is that you get extra 1.5 meters on every jump, so you can make some crazy jump spots that are really cool. We'll throw a couple in the end of the video right now. While I'm yapping right now, let it play out, and yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Let me know what you guys think.